Hello guys, this is Terry from Genki Gaming, and we are back with another One Piece theory. I was supposed to get this one out last week, but whenever I edited the actual audio, it turns out that someone was blaring copyrighted music in the background. So I spent about 3 or 4 days trying to figure out if I could edit the music out of the background, and I was unable to do it without completely ruining the quality of the video. But on to our Mr.3 theory. As I always do here at the beginning of my theory, I give a little bit of background information about the character before we dive into the theory. Today we're talking about Galindo, aka Mr.3, the Dolu no Mi user, which is the wax fruit. It's a paramecia devil fruit. He seems quite fond of tea like Earl Grey, and he has a really good quote. If I were to tell you I am here to fulfill the final wish of my lost comrade, would you laugh at me? Basically what happened that caused this quote is when Mr. 2 Betham sacrificed himself for everyone to escape and impel down. Well, all of our allies. Even though Mr. 3 has been seen to be a little bit cowardice during his introduction as a Baroque's Works officer or agent, he has changed a lot since then. Going through Impel Down and working with Buggy has changed him, has kind of forced him to be more resilient. He has excellent stealth skills and good infiltration skills. And seeing Mr. 2, who he was not completely fond of before, sacrifice himself, kind of inspired Galindo, or Mr. 3, into working his hardest. And the reason why I say working his hardest is without Mr. 2's sacrifice, Mr. 3 would not have any, I would say, dare I say, courage. I mean, if he wouldn't have been captured and thrown and impelled down, well, both Mr. 3, Mr. 2, and Buggy, Mr. 3's character would not have developed. Because during Impel Down and during Marineford, he's done a lot of moves that he would not have done before. Like in Impel Down, he blocked a torrent of poison that was aimed at our heroes, aka at Luffy. And then he assisted Luffy by giving him armor for his arms and legs. And he even did one further whenever he created the wall when Luffy Gear 3 kicked Magellan, or was trying to. And he did the biggest assist in the world when he made the key out of wax, since Luffy's original key was, I believe, broken by Kizaru's, or by an attack from Kizaru. And Mr. 3 showed a lot of bravery disguising himself as a marine on the scaffold, but he was not strong enough to survive Luffy's Conqueror's Haki. And just one little, well, actually two small more tidbits of information about him before we jump directly into the theory, since this is just some fun factoids here at first. He does have his own ship, which I do have a picture for it, which is included in the video. And I think it was said by Vivi that his ship works similar to how Smoker's billow bike works, where Mr. 3's wax flows through it, causing the water wheels to rotate, causing the ship to move. And our other fun fact is Mr. 3 would actually be a lower number if it wasn't for the fact that Mr. 4 was a little bit mentally slow. At least that's what Crocodile said to him according to the wiki. On to the theory itself, I have done a little bit of background research. I originally thought Galindo sounded a little bit Greek. It turns out that Galindo is a Spanish personal name or name in general. I tried to find the exact meaning of Galindo. I couldn't find a 100% meaning of it, but I did find a little bit of information about Spanish wax. There's something called de cera, which is wax like candles, models, dolls. This brings me directly upon my theory. Mr.3 and his wax army. Basically, Mr.3 is working for Buggy now, or is part of Buggy's crew. What if Mr.3 got awakened devil fruit and could make his own version of a terracotta army, but out of wax? I mean, an awakened devil fruit can do so many different things in speculation, but in reality we've only seen Paramecia devil fruit take over the environment. But what if, since Mr.3 can make copies of himself with the wax, in theory he could create an army of wax soldiers that way? And he also does have the ability to create the giant candle thing, but what if he could take over an entire huge building structure, like a skyscraper, turning it into a gigantic candle and using it for his own needs or for the Buggy Alliance? I mean, it even goes further, because he has that Wax Champion armor, or I believe it's just called Wax Champion, where he has that armor that protects him. What if he could apply that armor to others, like multiple people? It would add extra protection from certain attacks. I mean, hockey would still probably do damage to it, because we're not entirely sure how something like this would go on if you could give someone protection using your double fruit ability. Would it be your hockey that would apply the coating of hockey over this protective armor, or would it be their hockey that would apply the coating of armament hockey on top of your armor that you gave to them? He can continue to make protective structures like walls, like the little domed barrier that he used to protect Ace. He can make... he could probably make fortified retaining walls, like to protect from massive impacts. I mean, I don't see Mr.3 being in an area where there would be a massive impact hitting, like, say, one of Fujitora's meteors. Maybe hit the... I'm just giving you a hypothetical theory here. Maybe hit the water and created a massive wave. What if Mr.3, who's basically on the edge of an island, what if he created a giant wax retaining wall that was able to block the wave from crashing down into the island where Buggy and the rest of the crew were at? I mean, obviously we know that Mr.3 himself is not really strong. I mean, he's strong enough to have survived Impel Down, but when it comes to being able to survive like a blast of Conqueror's hockey, he can't withstand that. As a pre-time skip, I'm thinking post-time skip, he would at least be able to stand when a wave of Conqueror's hockey is shot out, because of his training pre-time skip. I'm betting any money he's not just sitting there lazy. I'm thinking that him and Buggy had to train the inmates they got from Impel Down. And since Mr. 3 can make weapons out of his wax. He could have armed the prisoners with weapons made out of wax. I mean, it's just a thought. But basically, just moving on, he would definitely need to possess some type of hockey. I would want to say armament hockey, because that seems like something that would be good for him, since we've seen him using his power really defensively and as a utility double shoot user, like using it to make the key, using it to make those protective domes and barriers, and then seeing him using his wax to make a sword, or turning his arm into a wax sword. I mean, there's a lot that he can do, but after looking at the Spanish word for wax, that de cera, I really see him being able to make a army of wax warriors, which would really help Buggy's troops as is, because we don't really know the power of the inmates he's gotten, or of how his crew's actually expanded. Like, if they've gotten other powerful pirates. I know that giant mercenary, is it Hardwin? I would have to see the guy's name, but he's now a part of Luffy's Grand Fleet. Because he used to be a part of Buggy's dispatch network. Because we've seen him in action, but all in all, we do not know the power of the Buggy Alliance. Mr. 3 creating a small army of wax soldiers could kind of balance things out if the impel down inmates are a little bit weaker than what we expect them to be. He can use his power defensively to create barriers, which I already covered. But what if, I'm not saying he's going to get two types of hockey, but if he does, it would have to be observation hockey. I mean, even if he gets one or the other, observation or armament hockey, with observation hockey, he could create barriers by sensing his surroundings and being able to know where to put up wax walls at. And he would know how to basically defend his crew from seriously harmful attacks. Kind of like, I'm not going to make a comparison between Mr. 3 and Jozu, but I'm going to make a sort of comparison. It's not comparing their powers, but it's comparing how the powers are used. Kind of like Jozu going diamond form and then reflecting Mihawk's the wave that he cut towards Whitebeard and reflecting it up into the air. Maybe Mr. 3 can do something like that with his wax walls, or with his wax fruit ability. That is it, guys. I've been Terry with Genki Gaming, and I am out. You guys are wonderful subscribers, and I'm going to be working on another theory sometime soon. I am out.